Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this presentation that is part of the new European Bauhaus Satellite Events. I'm Barbara Piga from Politecnico of Milan in Italy, and here we are going to present you the results of the event and activity Feeling Mykolaiv that involved several partners in a collaborative way. The partners are the ones that you can see on this slide. So we have Politecnico of Milan and the Laboratorio di Simulazione Urbana. Then we have Università, degli Studi di Milano and Transform Transport. And this, everything is done in conjunction with OneWorks Foundation and UNECE under the development pilot project to support the implementation of the reconstruction master plan for the city of Mykolaiv, Ukraine. And this project is within the UN for Ukrainian cities. And of course, everything was done with the support of the city of Mykolaiv. And also under another project that is the MUSA project, that is a NextGenerationEU project. So the entire activity is done with the aim to contribute to build back better the city of Mykolaiv, and this work is actually based on the exp-EIA method, that is an experiential environmental impact assessment method, that is a method enabling to understand and pre-assess and assess the perception by the community of a given environment. This method is based on a scientific methodology that was jointly developed by Politecnico of Milan and Statale University. And we combine architecture and environmental psychology to investigate people experiences of the urban environment. And in this case, we link this analysis with a work developed by Transform Transport on the accessibility of places under investigation. So we conducted a survey, and we had a lot of participants from Mykolaiv and also outside Mykolaiv that I really would like to thank. We were able to assess 7 cultural heritage sites in Mykolaiv that have been selected for potential urban regeneration projects. So the goal here is to understand the affective relationship between the local population and these sites. And we do this in order to unveiling valuable information for the design and the decision-making process. And of course, as also a way to involve and engage citizens and other stakeholders in urban transformation processes. So the sites that we investigated so far are the ones that you can see in the slides. And those are heritage sites, 7 heritage sites that emerge as relevant for both people living in Mykolaiv as well as people living outside the city. And this is important to know since Mykolaiv is relatively a young city with this area of heritage sites, but despite this, the attachment of people to those places is very important. Though some of those places are now close to the public and belongs to the municipal property or state property, and so they are slightly different in this perspective. But as you will see, the reaction is in any case important. So the work, as mentioned before, the work is divided in 2 main activities that my colleagues are now going to present. The first part of the presentation is about a desktop analysis based on the data that we have. It is focused on active and public transportation of those 7 sites. And Andrea Gorrini is now going to present this. And secondly, We are going to present the outcomes of the online surveys, so the investigation of people perception through our dedicated platform, and this is the part based on the exp-EIA method, where we couple architecture and environmental psychology. And my colleague Marco Boffi from Satellite University, who is a psychologist, is going to present this part. So now I give the floor to Andrea Gorrini.
Thank you, Barbara, and good morning, everyone. So the first analysis we're going to present you now is focused on mobility, the assessment of the level of accessibility of public transport services, but also the level of walkability and cyclability in the surrounding of the sites. So in this page, you can see the methodology we follow. Basically, we start defining the catchment areas around each site, and this is based on the distance for pedestrians in 15-minute city walking from the site. So we build isochrons, and then we start collecting a series of data, open data, but also proprietary data collected thanks to the contribution of the city of Mykolaiv, related to the services, the proximity services, the infrastructure for cyclists, and also the availability of public transport services. Thank you. And these are the data we consider relevant to produce these three standard indicators related first to the level of walkability, so the walk score, which is related to the possibility for pedestrians to access in 15-minute walking proximity services located nearby each site. So you can see neighborhood services, healthcare, education, and so on. Second is another indicator, is a standard measure of the level of cyclability in the surrounding areas of the sites. And for this kind of measure, we consider another set of data which are mostly referring to the infrastructure. So the speed limit, the presence of bike lanes, the width of bike lanes, but also the number of intersections. And last, the last indicators is focused on the other way on local public transport. So the data set considered was the presence of bus stop, tram stop, trolley, and VIP bus stops. And hereby you can see on this page the results of the analysis at the city scale, and also the location of the 7 sites. So the let's say the heat map produced related to the walk score highlighted the level of walkability in the area, in the cells surrounding each site. And then we produce a similar map related to the level of bikeability at the city scale, which is the next slide. And hereby you can see the level of bikeability is called, according to the methodology we follow, bicycle level of traffic stress. And the results are classified with 4 steps from level 1 low stress to level 4 high level of stress. And last, we also map at the city scale the location of the stops for local public transport and also the lines. So the idea was to assess the level of cyclability for the city user, for the inhabitants and the city user of each site. And considering that these kind of indicators related to the level of walkability, cyclability, and local public transport, so active and sustainable mobility, are related also the way the citizens live the urban environment and can be freely, let's say, lived environment. So the very last slide is focused on vehicular infrastructure. So you can see here at the city scale the road hierarchy of the highway and the road network in the city. Also considering that this part of the city is accessible also using a large highway, the M14. And this is the summary of the results. So all the data which have been collected and analyzed to assess the level of accessibility of the sites and been normalized from 0 to 1 to be compared. also and you can see on the left side of the slide, there is a chart. So the first bar, the red one, refers to the walk score, then the blue to the bikeability, the dark gray, black to the availability of local public transport services. And then at the end, the green one is a unique indicator which summarizes the three. We call it accessibility index, and this is based on a weighted summation of the three. We define different weight for the three indicators. So the indicator we consider as the most relevant is the walk score, which has a weight of 0.5. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see the area, the polygons of each isochron surrounding the sites and the overlap in between them. So the final results is the green map showing the level of accessibility relying on the final index. Next slide. Yep, which is, this is, let's say, an overview of the final results. So the final index, again, is a normalized value from 0 to 1. And you can see that some of the sites are isolated. So the number 5, but let's say the majority of the sites has an overlap between them, considering the area of the isochron around them. Thank you. I'll give the floor to Marco.
Thank you. What I'm going to present now are the results obtained from the survey completed in the city of Mykolaiv. So we prepared an online survey. In the next slide, you can see the general structure of the survey. So as you can see, as you probably know, we shared an online link to a survey that was divided into 3 main sections. So the first section included some socio-demographic data about age or gender of people answering the questions, and section 2 was devoted to the relationship that respondents have with the community of Mykolaiv, so the type of relationship they have with other citizens. And finally, section 3 included the pictures of the 7 cultural heritage sites, and each picture was assessed according to 3 theoretical psychological concepts that I will better explain with the results. So the idea is that we have some socio-demographic information about the participants, and we have a description of the psychological relationship with the citizenship in general, and we have a psychological evaluation. In the pictures, you see some examples of the questionnaire that you filled in. So in the next slide, we can start with presenting some of the outcomes, and we can start with the demography of participants. So first of all, let me really thank you for the participation. You gave us a huge response. We had almost 1,850 people participating in the survey. That's a very, very good result. So we are very grateful for the opportunity you gave us. In this case, for this presentation, we focused only on a subset of respondents because we needed time to make the analysis. So we included only part of the answers, but in any case, we considered almost 1,200 answers. So the assessment that we are going to present is referring to a population that is mainly living in Mykolaiv. So as you can see on the left upper part of the slide, 85% of the respondents are now living in Mykolaiv, and the rest of the people, 8% is living in Ukraine, but not in Mykolaiv. And as you can see, most of them left the city after February 2022. And instead, 7% of the people currently live outside Ukraine, and also in this case, the majority of them left the country after February 2022. These are the descriptions of the sample. So the majority of respondents are women. So let's say 3/4 of the sample. In terms of age, the majority is in the central part of age distribution, but we cover many different ages, so it's a good sample. And also in terms of education, the majority of respondents has a master's degree, but we cover also different levels of education. Okay, so in the next slide, you can see the distribution of the answers. We divided the city according to the 4 districts. And as you can see from the district number 1, 2, and 3, we received the majority of answers, and a slightly lower number from district number 4. But in any case, considering the huge number of answers, also the assessment we collected from district number 4 are definitely significant for our analysis. So again, thank you for this. In the next slide, we can start seeing the actual results. So the first analysis is about the sense of community. The concept of sense of community is used in psychology to describe how strong is the connection a person feels with the community within an area. In this case, we explore the connection that you have with the community of the city of Mykolaiv. So this gives us an idea of how strongly you are related with the citizenship of Mykolaiv. To give you an idea, we decided not only to present you the results of Mykolaiv, but to make a comparison with other case studies we've done in the past. So in the small square in the lower right part of the slide, as a comparison, you see the analysis we made in Milan, and in particular in the neighborhood of Città Studi, which is the neighborhood where Milano, where Statale and Politecnico have their campus. As you can see in previous analysis, the sense of community we investigated here in Milan is more or less 40% for the people we involved here. So this gives you a reference to understand the results in Mykolaiv. So what we see in Mykolaiv is that on average, the sense of community is quite high in your population. So district number 1 shows the higher level of sense of community. It's 54%. Districts 2 and 3 have a sense of community at 51%, and District 4 in the southern part is 46%. So making a comparison with Milan, we can say that the sense of community in Mykolaiv is definitely quite high, even if it's slightly stronger in the northern part compared to the south. Obviously, the contextual reasoning about the results goes to the situation, so to the conflicts that your city and in general your country is facing in these months. It's highly reasonable to imagine that this situation of conflict is increasing the strength of the connection that you feel with your own community. So in the next slide, instead, we can see more in detail the reaction to the 7 specific cultural heritage sites. What you see here is the assessment of the concept of place attachment. This is another psychological concept describing how important is a place for you. So how strong is the affective relationship you have with that place, and the symbolic value that that place has. So it becomes a place that is important for you and for your own identity. So you have a strong link with that place. Also in this case, to make an example, you can see in the small square in the right upper part of the slide, the type of assessment we made in Milan. In this case, we didn't investigate place attachment to a specific building, a specific place, but we investigated more in general the relationship with the neighborhood. But in any case, it gives you an idea. So you can see that in Milan, the value is 24%. And instead, in the main chart, you can see the values of the attachment you experience towards the 7 sites. So the first comment is also in this case, you see the intensity of place attachment is much higher to the analysis we made in Italy. So in all the places, the value of place attachment is above 50% or 55%. And so the type of relationship is very intense in this case. And if we look slightly more in detail, we can see that places 2 and 5, so the observatory and the Old Navy Barracks complex, those places have a value that is slightly higher compared to the others. And this might be partly related to the fact that these 2 places are the only ones that are fully operative and open to the public, compared to the others that are not, let's say, fully operative and accessible. And the comment is, obviously, the relationship with a place is not only influenced by the physical features of the place, but also from the type of life and the type of activities that take place around and within those places. So the fact that these places are completely open might influence your reaction and increase the attachments you experience toward those places. I am emphasizing places 2 and 5 because also in the other analysis, these places show some interesting results. So in the next slide, you can see the analysis of the emotional reaction. So to explain how to read these results, you can look at the main colored square you see at the center of the slide. So the idea of this square is to describe the emotions. So on the right part of the square, you see positive emotions. On the left part, you see negative emotions. On top of it, you have activating emotions, so emotions that gives you a sensation of energy and dynamism. And instead, at the bottom of the square, you have deactivating emotions, so emotions associated with a sense of slowing down. So the combination of these 2 axes give you on the top right part activating and positive emotions, so happiness, elation, excitement. And for example, in the lower right part, you have instead positive and deactivating emotions, so you have a sense of being calm, relaxed, and serene. Instead, at the bottom left, you have emotions that are deactivating and negative. So a sense of fatigue, depression, sadness, boring. And instead on top left part of the square, you see activating and negative emotions. So being stressed, nervous, a sense of tension. So this is the general understanding of the square. And the last information is the closer you are to the center, the less intense is the emotion. If you instead move towards the perimeter, the emotion becomes more intense. So given this general description, what you see here is that all the places you assessed correspond to a positive and activating emotion, so a sense of excitement and elation. And what is differentiating the places among them is the intensity of the reaction, not the quality of the emotional reaction, but its intensity. So also in this case, the reaction to places 5 and 2 is much more intense. So you see they are much closer to the perimeter of the square, and all the other places are slightly more in the middle between the perimeter and the center, even if, for example, place number 3 is definitely more intense than place number 7. So the wild garden is more intense compared to the house of workers. So we can say that you have a positive and activating emotional reaction to these places, especially for the observatory and Old Navy Barracks. Again, to give you an idea, in the small square in the upper right part of the slide, you can see this type of assessment we made in our neighborhood here in Milan. And so in that case, we made a walk through the Milanese neighborhood. And you can see that in our case, some places are more relaxing in terms of emotional reaction. So places 1 and 2. And then we have place number 3 that is more similar to the places that you assessed. Number 3 is a big pedestrian square in our neighborhood with green surroundings and the main historical building of the university that in terms of architectural style, more or less the architects will forgive me for this, but let's say we can compare that type of building to some of the buildings you have in Mykolaiv. And then the last 3 places instead are a part of the neighborhood that was not renovated recently, and you have a lot of traffic there, and also in terms of architecture, it's less historical. So you see the reaction becomes much more negative. So in general, to make a comparison, we can say that your reactions are similar to the best places we have in our neighborhood, and on average the emotional experience you have there is pretty much positive. In the next slide, you can see the last analysis we did that is about the concept of restoration. In this case, we are not obviously describing physical restoration, but the concept is psychological restoration. So the idea is to measure the capability of a place to support you in recovering from the daily stress, and to regain energy and resources from the mental fatigue of the daily activities. So this is the concept of psychological restoration, and we know from other studies that some places are more effective in supporting you in recovering mental energies, and we decided to include also this assessment. And also in this case, as for the previous analysis, you can see that on average, The value of the restorative capability of these places is quite high. Also in this case, we are always above 50%. And also in this case, places 2 and 5, so the observatory and Old Navy Barracks, show their highest values. And again, to give you a comparison, in the upper right part, you see the same places in Milan that we analyzed before in terms of emotion. And also in this case, you see that for the most renovated part in the Milanese neighborhood, the values are around 60%. So those are comparable to the values that you experience in Mykolaiv. And instead, the last places, so places at the end of the graph, they show lower values between, let's say, 30 and 40%. So also in this case, your reaction is comparable to the best performance we observed here in Milan. Also in this case, a general comment goes to the conflict situation you experienced there. So all the analysis we did referring to place attachment, emotions, and restoration is not referring simply to the physical environment, but also to the type of experience you had there, to the type of relationship you establish with other people when attending those places, and to the opportunity to attend those places on a daily or weekly basis. So the point is, the conflict situation is very plausible to affect the relationship you have with these places, and to make this relationship much more intense. So this intensifies the link you have with these places. And obviously, we don't have data in the Mykolaiv in the previous condition to make a comparison, but this is very, very plausible to affect this type of relationship. Let me conclude just with one final comment. On average, this analysis is addressed to emphasize, to make more readable and more comprehensible and more visible some intangible relationship you have with the city, both in terms of community and the places spread throughout the city. And obviously, these elements are not the only elements to reason about some choices to be made for the renovation of the city, but our idea is that this could be part of the information taken into account for a general reflection about how to build back, to better build back the city. I leave the floor to Barbara for the final remarks.
Thank you. So, of course, if we look at all the work that we have done so far, it is interesting to notice that people are strongly connected with the sites, even if some of those are now closed and some of those are damaged. But in any case, the level of attachment and the level of the emotions and restoration still is very high. So this is, of course, something that is very, very important to know, and we can build on it, of course. Which means that those places are representative. They have a symbolic meaning, not only due to the heritage, architectural perspective, which is of course important as well, but also from a symbolic perspective, and they are really cultural heritage sites. So culture here is very important, and also the sense of community and the sense of belonging those sites can highlight. so those are cultural references. And this is something that we have to stress because this can have a strong impact in the way we rethink the renovation of those places. Of course, it's not only the renovation of the architectural level, but this can have an influence on the entire site. So the approach that we foster and the way why we ask you to join this activity through the survey is actually to promote inclusivity and to show the intangible connection that people have with places in order to show them, to show to all the stakeholders involved in the transformation processes and to make visible this interconnection with places and try to foster an evidence-based urban design. So try to measure these intangible elements in order to compare it with other conditions, for instance, in Europe, as we try to do with Milan and also other places in order to better understand. It's a matter of being informed. No, it's not a competition, of course, but it's a matter to provide proper information that allow to work on an informed dialogue to foster a scientific approach to design, urban design solution and master planning, and also a strong interconnection between the different elements that, of course, we have to take into consideration. And this is one that is typically not measured, let's say. So we hope that we can contribute to the discussion in this perspective. So the idea of spatialize the intangible results and to measure those this connection with the city is actually very important, and it's one way to give voice to the perception and the point of view of citizens, of course. That's all of the stakeholders involved, of course, care of. And so in general, as we said, the seven cultural sites provide a high quality urban experience that can be a very good starting point and also a sort of let's say landmark, a sort of reference point for the city. And this can inform an urban regeneration process. And it is important to notice that this is, again, to remark once again, that is one part of the overall aspects that we have to consider all together to improve the quality of cities with an evidence-based approach, but also with a people-centered approach and an environmental-centered approach. And the idea is, of course, to contribute to the sustainable development goals and so to create sustainable cities and communities. So we would like to really thank all the participants and all the partners involved in the process. And this is one step in the process. We are going to continue present the results, and we also will continue to analyze the rest, the other part of the sample, and maybe hopefully promote other exchange between with the public administration and the developers in order to inform about the perception of people of the sites in the city of Mykolaiv. So thank you again to all of you, and we hope that we could provide a proper picture of the intangible relationship that you have with the city. Thank you.